Who's that coming down the track? Who's that coming down the track? It's a mean machine running blind. It's a mean machine running blind. Ain't nothing finer in the land. Ain't nothing finer in the land. And a drunk on nuts is Georgia band. And a drunk on nuts is Georgia band. Go now!
What's up, y'all? This is John and Mike back for another episode of the Nothing Finer podcast. Tonight, we are talking about 4 potential chaos games. Let me make sure I counted that right. 1, 2, 3. Yep, 4 potential chaos games for the 2024 season. Games that may not be on a ton of people's radars, but with the matchup could shake up the SEC and with that, the playoff. But before we get to that, how have you been and what are you drinking?
I'm good. We started school this week, so been busy. But I mean, it's been good so far. We got the my boss's boss coming in. Got the superintendent coming in tomorrow morning, bright and early. So I've been told that she's gonna come see me one of the first things because they want to show off the weight room. So I'm gonna wear my best sweatpants, try to impress her. Uh,
Hell yeah. And, the banana said you're one of the best teachers in Savannah. So.
uh yeah, I don't know. That's not saying a lot. That's a bad commentary on the city. Yeah, no, I just got some water. How about you?
Good, dude. It's been a weird day. I'll just say that from the rip. There are currently 2 sinkholes on the island I live on. A bar caught on fire. There was a thunderstorm that produced 65-mile-an-hour winds this afternoon. And I'm wearing a shirt with sleeves on it, so it's just weird day.
Ew. What bar? I mean, where was the bar that burnt down?
So it didn't burn down. It was
Oh,
on Wilmington, kind of close
oh,
to well, trying to think of spots you would know over here. Between the Kroger and Ace Hardware.
got you. Okay. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it didn't burn down, just had a kitchen fire. Firemen put it out. But same with the 2 sinkholes. There's no timeline for return. There's a road closed on the island. Not that we have that many, but there's like one of the main roads on the island just shut down. There's a sinkhole.
I mean, if you have a sinkhole on an island, does that just mean the island's just going underwater?
Well, this is pretty much dead center, so if anything, we're just gonna get a nice little lagoon, in the middle of the road and people's yards.
Yeah, make okay. Damn, sorry.
Yeah, just weird, just weird. I don't even have a water. I don't have anything. So I will say and treat you guys right off the top here. I got something. There's something that I've seen over the last few days really started to eat away at me, and because I've given myself an outlet to tell you guys my opinion, that's what I'm gonna do. But I will say I have a quote from a major media source on the subject. Josh Pate from Late Kick said, "Most of you can't beat Georgia on the field. That's what it boils down to. So this is as close as a lot of you get to a victory over Georgia, because if it was happening at UL Monroe, with all due respect, I don't think any of us would hear much about it."
Makes a good point.
Here's, criticism over what's been going on in the program. Okay, I get it. Like, there have been a lot of legal issues. It should be brought to light. It should be fixed. There should be punishments, because at this point it is a known issue. Fool me
Hmm.
once, shame on me. You fool me twice, shame on me.
Can't get fooled again.
Shouldn't. But at this point it's like 40 something times. We're still
Yeah.
getting fooled.
Yep.
What really is pissing me off, for lack of a better term, the asinine comparisons between Kirby Smart and Urban Meyer. And once again, I will continue to say this. The actions of certain players on the Georgia roster are unacceptable. Point blank, period. Anything to do with violence, not okay. Anything to do with potential drunk driving, not okay. Anything to do with driving recklessly that in a situation that can endanger people. And I say it like that because anyone that's been to Athens on 316, especially in, maybe you're on 316, there's nobody else there. You go a little too fast, just for the hell of it. There's nobody else around. What are you going to do? Damage a hayfield? All right, whatever.
Yeah.
But putting other people in danger, not acceptable. But to compare what is taking place in Athens to what took place at Florida and Ohio State under Kirby Smart is ignorant at best and malicious at worst.
Mhm.
Just to point out a few examples. 31 Florida players were arrested under Urban Meyer at Florida. Not very many of those were traffic violations. Urban Meyer was responsible for players with multiple arrests that were arrested for terroristic threats, violence, theft, and a number of other crimes.
Mhm.
Aaron Hernandez was arrested for a murder that took place while he was a player on that Florida roster.
Murder, it's not good.
Yeah, murder,
Bad.
some would say, is a little bit worse than turning the wrong way down a one-way street. Some would say.
Someone, yeah, not a lawyer, not a cop, but it sounds bad. Yeah.
At Ohio State, Urban Meyer and his wife actively covered up domestic violence perpetrated for years by one of his coaches. They knew about it from the rip. The first text that came out about that situation between this coach's wife and Urban Meyer's wife, 2012.
Jesus. Oh yeah, I forgot it was that bad. Yeah.
2012. So Urban Meyer said, yeah, beat your wife, but do your job.
It's not funny. It's not funny. No, that's awful. Like inexcusable.
Meanwhile, we currently have a head coach at Georgia who is mainly dealing with traffic violations. Mainly.
Yeah.
Anytime something other than that has come out, other than traffic violations, has happened, an example, Ra Thomas or Adam Anderson, those players were immediately suspended.
Mhm.
Adam Anderson was kicked off the team before the investigation was finished, before the trial had started. Adam Anderson was no longer a part of the team. And at this point, I think all Georgia fans with a conscience, with some moral compass in their body, expect and hope Ra Thomas is kicked off the team.
Yeah.
At the same time, Georgia is dealing with speeding and reckless driving. We got a guy at Oklahoma State who is actively condoning driving under the influence.
Mhm.
But we have national media members, big names, not just the fucking dickhead at MSN, but like there are multiple guys, at least one for sure, that writes for Saturday Down South who called Kirby the next Urban Meyer. We have people at ESPN writing stories calling Kirby the next Urban Meyer. The absolute reckless jumps that these journalists are taking, comparing Kirby, who is punishing these players, not sweeping things under the rug. He is doing what he can do within the confines of his job. To a coach that covered up and swept under the rug theft, violence, domestic violence, and potentially murder is a symbol of how ridiculous journalistic integrity is these days and how everybody is all about clickbait and doesn't give a shit about what they write. That's saying Kirby needs to do something, cool. Saying he's not doing enough, okay. Comparing Kirby Smart to a guy that literally covered up violence, domestic violence, theft, murder, and a number of other things, and actively hurt members of his own roster is insane. not even in what I put down here. Urban Meyer kicked a guy off the team because he had mental health issues and wasn't doing well at practice. Shortly after that, the guy killed himself.
Yeah.
Like, get the actual fuck out of here with comparing Urban Meyer to Kirby Smart.
Yeah. It's lazy. It's a lazy take.
It's, once again, ignorant at best. It shows you don't know what you're talking about. You don't deserve the position you're in. But malicious at worst. And, I don't want to dig too far into this one guy because I do think he writes some good stuff and he knows what he's talking about. But there's a guy writes for Saturday Down South that compared Kirby Smart to Urban Meyer. Just so happens to live around Gainesville, Florida. Just
Oh,
saying.
that's interesting. Okay.
Just saying. He also is a known Florida fan. Um, just you know, I don't call myself a journalist for a reason because I have bias. But if you're going to let your bias, if your bias is going to allow for you to write something that is just that downright ignorant, knowing better, like better, and you're still going to put it out there, you probably should not have your job. Just
Mhm.
And if anybody that wrote one of these stories wants to come on the show, we'll do an extra episode. Even if Mike can't make it, I'll sit on here and tell you how you're fucking stupid.
There you go.
Like I do not care.
Yeah, it's an insane take. I don't know what the expectation is. I mean, like you said, I mean, man's doing everything that in his power that he can do. He's not. This isn't fucking Minority Report. He can't stop crimes before they happen and stuff like that. I mean, it's only so much that a fucking coach can do.
Right.
You know,
And these
it's a while.
the pun Kirby keeps as many details in house as he can. He said at media days that these players are fined
Yeah.
through NIL for
Hmm.
anything that happens. I've heard numbers for reckless driving of their NIL deals are cut by 25%.
Sheesh.
And not to mention the physical punishment.
Yeah.
Like I guarantee you get a super speeder or reckless driving ticket, you're running the stairs at Sanford Stadium for the entirety of practice.
Hmm.
Like it's not these guys are getting off scot free. It's that they're being fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And how many of us weren't stupid at 18, 19, 20 years old?
Right. Exactly.
Because I can tell you the last time I went way too fast on 316 was I think it was 26, 27. Like,
Yeah.
no, I'm fired up. Let's talk about some chaos games. Let's talk about some scenarios that could fuck up some people's seasons.
Let's go.
So, criteria. Games that I think the teams match up well for the team with less expectations. Trap games, anything else that has potential to give some pretty good shakes to the foundation of what we think we know. Um, and be honest, just like the last episode I wrote this like 2 weeks ago, and schedule got all sorts of out of whack. So I thought I was done, was going to put them in order. I didn't. So we're just going to talk about 4 games.
All right.
First game, we got Alabama at Wisconsin. And I say that, so Wisconsin did not do well last year. I know we were high on the Dairy Raid. It curdled. Dairy Raid curdled. Wasn't great.
Yeah.
But this pick has little to do with the offense. This has to do with how Wisconsin's defense matches up against Alabama's offense. The Badgers were 39th in rushing yards allowed last season, returned 71% of their defensive production, and we all know about Alabama's struggles at offensive line. They
Very true.
got they got Caden Proctor back. Okay. They got the center from Washington. Okay.
Yeah.
5 guys on that line.
Yeah. I mean that line did win what the whatever the name of that award is, the best offensive line award. We talked about it a lot. I'm drawing a blank.
The Joe Moore Award.
Joe Moore, yeah, there we go.
Right. One or two guys does not make someone better. Does
Yeah.
not make a unit better.
Mhm.
This game is also in Camp Randall, which I think makes a pretty big difference because it is in week 3 and really the first test of the season for Alabama.
Mhm.
The Badgers should also have an upgraded quarterback. Emphasis on should. I will say
Yeah,
that.
it remains to be seen, but it potentially could be an
Right.
upgrade for sure.
One of those. Let's call him the boogeyman of college football.
Mhm.
Just lurking in the shadows. Everybody talks about him. Nobody's really seen him. That's Tyler Van Dyke. And if he is as good as everyone knows he can be,
Freshman TVD.
right. Give me
Yeah.
back half of freshman season TVD. That's going to test the Alabama secondary that Nick Saban is questioning the depth and experience at because they did have 3 guys drafted from that secondary last year. Another went to Ohio State.
And then one came to Georgia, but not that he played a whole lot last year, but yeah.
Yes. So I think, am I giving Wisconsin a real good chance to win this game? Probably not.
Mhm.
But I think they can point out some definite weaknesses that Georgia has the opportunity to take advantage of just a few weeks later.
Is this week 3? Do you
Week
know?
3.
Okay. Hmm. Gives you
If
yeah,
I
gives
can
you time
pull
to get
the
some
Bama
picks out.
schedule up, but I think it may be this game bye week Georgia.
It feels right. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, well,
it's
yeah.
Wisconsin bye week Georgia for Bama.
Okay, and okay, cool. Okay. I will say add in one thing to that. The last time, Alabama went on the road, had a true road game against another opponent that wasn't the SEC, was USF, was like a 10-3 game.
Just
Just something to throw out there. I mean, I know the
and
circumstances
the
are
USF
different and
game
stuff.
is the week before Wisconsin.
Oh.
USF and T Town. Yeah.
Okay, so there we go.
A team that some people are claiming can make the playoff this year, USF.
I
So
mean, the USF's coach says it's not that they have to play Alabama and Miami. Miami has to play them.
I believe that for Miami.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, second game we're talking about LSU versus USC. And I know we've mentioned this game quite a few times during the offseason, but I've been thinking about it differently recently. At least I think so. I could have said this before. I'll say it again. I'm still putting my money on the over in this game. Don't care what it is. I will legitimately be betting the over.
Same.
Unless the entire offense for both teams has the flu, hammering the over.
I mean, LSU might be able to do it themselves. I mean, they got the Nuss busting us.
Busting us is back.
Yeah.
But let's say D'Anton Lynn, who coached a defense at UCLA that was 16 spots lower on the 247 talent composite than USC was last year, has a good defense. It might
Okay.
sound crazy. USC, good defense. But last season, he coached that less talented team to the number 14 scoring defense in the country, playing in the Pac 12's best year in the better part of 2 decades.
It's a great point. Yep.
So let's say USC has a good defense. We know LSU won't. That's, I'm not trying to hate. I'm just being honest. They will get to the quarterback more this season with Blake Baker calling plays, and they got the defensive line coach from Texas. But USC is going to rip that secondary apart. It is the amount of separation between those defensive backs and those receivers almost makes you think that the defensive back should just start 30 yards downfield.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
100% expect that. But if USC has a good defense and wins that game, the conversation surrounding both of these teams are drastically different. Because during media days, half of the guys on SEC Network were talking about LSU as a dark horse to make the playoff. Most people are projecting USC to finish third or fourth in the Big Ten.
Okay.
USC puts up 40 plus points and has a defense that only allows 20 going into Big Ten play. That's going to look real dangerous for those offenses that hope to score 20 points a game.
Yep. I mean, something else too to think, keep in mind, if people that are thinking LSU is just going to run over them, they're 0-2 on Sundays to open the season the last 2 years.
You know, hot take here, way off the wall. I think what it is Brian Kelly was a coach at Notre Dame for so long. He just doesn't want to let his team work on Sundays. Respect the
Yeah.
Sabbath,
Hmm.
sit down, don't play too hard. We gotta.
Good Catholic Brian Kelly.
Yep. I think it's just still ingrained in his head.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he was in Notre Dame for what, 12, 13 years, however long he was there.
I think so. I think it was 12 or 13.
Yeah.
Next game we're talking about, possibly near and dear to your heart, we're talking Texas at Michigan. Two playoff teams from last year. If you are not watching, first off, you should. But second, Mike's doing horns down. And now
Yeah.
he's flipping off horns down. Hell yeah.
Pissing.
Uh,
Oh, there we go.
we know Michigan is going to drop off significantly this season, right? I,
Yep.
but is it out of the question to expect Texas to have a worse defense this year? They're losing their defensive line coach 60 and only returned 61% of their defensive production from last season.
Hmm.
And all these returning production numbers I'm using are from the post-spring, post-transfer portal Bill Connolly article. It's very difficult to find for a stat that everybody in college football media talks about. It really should be easier.
You're not lying.
But let's say Michigan makes this a close game at home. Let's say there's a crazy orgy on the field on that Texas defense.
Hmm. Love to see it.
Let's say Donovan Edward actually earns his cover spot. If they make it close or God forbid win, Texas is immediately dropping out of a lot of people's potential playoff team.
Yeah.
Just because of the expectations for Michigan this year.
Michigan has a lot of defense coming back. Like Mason Graham, like I mean, he's kind of in that same vein. I'm not saying he's Jalen Carter, but I mean dude's a fucking baller. He's
And
gonna fuck shit up for Texas offensive line.
not to mention, according to the Brock Bowers, Mackey Award, they have two of the top 10 tight ends in the country on the watch list.
Yep.
That's assuming they know that forward passes are legal in today's game.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm thinking it's going to be more of a Denard Robinson type offense with Orgy out there, like I talked about, weeks and weeks ago. Even Harbaugh said before the Pro Bowl, he called Jalen Milroe a much more polished Alex Orgy.
Yeah.
I'd expect the same thing. And Jeremy Harbaugh's not there. Quarterback whisperer noted. Quarterback whisperer is not there anymore. So
I
we'll
mean, he
see
got
how
JJ
Sean Morris.
McCarthy drafted top 10.
Hmm.
He should get
He got Colin Kaepernick to
10%
the
of JJ McCarthy's earnings for his entire career.
yeah. He got fucking who was it? Colin Kaepernick to the Super Bowl. Then a weird Dwight's going off thing of winning that Super Bowl. So
Yeah.
I mean he Andrew Luck at Stanford. I mean he's had quarterbacks. So like we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I mean the closer we're getting to this game, I know we're 5 weeks or so away from this particular game.
Right.
The more I'm feeling good about Michigan in it, and I know I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, but yeah, I think that of all the games that you have listed here, I feel the best the best about this one of being a quote unquote like upset.
Yeah, no, I think that is the one that's closest to being an upset
Hmm.
because the LSU fans I know already expect them to lose to USC.
Oh God.
The secondary is the reason they expect them to lose to USC.
Yeah.
Like that's not a potential upset, but the biggest thing about this is if USC comes out and like I said, to me, if they hold LSU to 30 points or less, that's a dangerous defense going into the Big Ten where, 24 points wins most games.
Right. Right.
So last game we're talking about, I got Oklahoma at Ole Miss. And
Ooh. Yeah.
if you if you agree with us, which you should, especially based off our betting numbers last year, we were well over 500.
Yeah.
So just saying, we all think Ole Miss is a playoff and potential SEC contender this year.
Yep.
A lot of people are starting to rumble about Oklahoma's upside being in that same spot. Oklahoma will already be tested with games against Tennessee, at Auburn, and Texas on a neutral site. Ole Miss's toughest game before that is LSU with, like we've already talked about, little to no defense.
Right.
If Oklahoma lives anything close to their level of hype, this will be a close game. This will be a serious game.
Hmm.
And if Oklahoma wins this game in the SIP, hard pressed to not make the playoff unless they lose 3 games.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah, that's gonna be a good game. I didn't realize that they were playing. I mean, I guess that, yeah, like Ole Miss has Georgia, Oklahoma, and LSU. Like that's their season, right? Because they don't
Yeah,
play Alabama this year, right?
correct.
Ooh,
Um,
okay.
and this game is,
October 26th.
yeah, it is the week after LSU.
No, they play South. Oh wait. Oh wait,
No,
no.
they got a
Oklahoma
bye week.
play.
LSU
Yeah.
bye week, Oklahoma,
Mm.
and then
And
Arkansas and Georgia.
yeah, and then Oklahoma before Ole Miss. Oklahoma plays South Carolina in Norman, so I'm not worried about that. So they
Right,
might have some extra time to prepare. Who knows?
right. No, I. This is a game that I will personally be circling for sure
Yes. Mhm.
because these to me, maybe instead of chaos games, they're like fortune telling games
Mhm.
or porthole games. Maybe get a little glimpse of the inside, see what's really going on. I don't know. Well,
What'd you call it?
porthole, like
Oh, okay. That's okay. Never mind.
maybe not. We'll, you know what? I'll figure out what to call these. Maybe not chaos games. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it
Okay.
out. I need to figure out in like the next 30 minutes because I got to post the episode, but it'll be okay.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, I do want to remind you guys about the new hats we have up on our millions.co website. They're behind Mike there if you're watching on YouTube. The Smart Bet 2024 Make Georgia Champs Again hats. They are up. Also, the t-shirts are up. Everything that we have available is on the site. Um, if you're not already, follow us on social media at nothing.finer.pod on Instagram, at finerpod on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Just look us up there. TikTok, Nothing Finer Podcast. Rate and review the show. 5 stars, please. And I think that's about it.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, guys. Always remember there is nothing finer in the land.
Than a drunk obnoxious Georgia fan.